Gaming news this week has covered a variety of things and even new things just this morning in the realm of brand new breaking gaming news. One of those being the Silent Hill 2 review scores actually looking quite good. Now, some of us were a little bit worried about that, and so I'm going to cover that as well as a variety of other stories. What they're doing to AC Shadows, they're actually going to be adding a long-awaited feature while the game is being delayed. Palworld has now landed in more places. Starfield DLC reviews are in from big-time Bethesda fans, as well as the Metacritic now being viewable. And there's also something very interesting from a Bethesda interview that I want to talk about with you guys. Star Wars Outlaws has had its first title update. We'll look at what they're doing to make stealth better, and then I'll give you a brief recap on all the other topics from this week. Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush 2, Death Stranding 2, and praise for the PS5 Pro. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Variety gaming coverage, and for those of you that like those uploads that we were doing, those will return next week. We did a bit of an experiment this week. I was gone yesterday, Thursday. I was in Atlanta at a YouTube creator event, was pleased to be a part of that and get to kind of tour the Google and YouTube studio offices there. Was really, really neat and had a great time with all the other creators that were there. So what is going on with Silent Hill 2? Well, I'll tell you, the Metacritic score is actually quite good, as well as the Open Critic score. Now, I've covered this game for a while. There was a time where some of the footage just looked really, really rough and really, really concerning. The fidelity of this game has seemingly gone through a lot of changes, but right now it is sitting on Metacritic with an 88 and on OpenCritic with an 88. Now, I will play this later for folks who can get access to the green room on this channel. So if you are a Member Plus or a VIP, you get to be a part of those gameplay sessions. This really isn't the type of game that I typically would stream for a live stream, especially one that I actually didn't play the original, so I don't want to be that guy who's like trying to cover something that I actually didn't play before. But I'm anxious to play it because I do think it looks quite good, and I'm glad to see the scores do as well as they are given the early looks at this game. I will also say, with a score of 88 on both OpenCritic and Metacritic, this thing may be in a Game of the Year conversation just for nomination. Now, I can't see it winning, but I could certainly see with a score that strong, it may end up there. Now, I know people are probably getting a little bit tired of that, seeing remakes up there on the podium instead of games that are new. But this one is going to be one of the top scoring games this year, which very likely means it could end up getting a nomination. I again think the clear winner this year is probably going to be Astrobot based on the review scores that we have seen, but that could round out the list of 6, the Silent Hill 2 remake. Now, AC Shadows got delayed. So Assassin's Creed Shadows got delayed, and we kind of already covered this because earlier this week, I went to Insider Gaming as a source on this. It's not just to fix bugs. It's not just to fix glitches. They are going to be addressing some of the historical inaccuracies in the game with respect to architecture, as well as how Yasuke's story carries out. It has been debunked that they were going to remove him from the game. That is not happening. But in light of the fact that you have 2 very different protagonists in this game, they are actually adding co-op. Now, this is something that many fans of Assassin's Creed have wanted to see return. They experimented with it in Unity. There were some elements of it, I believe, in Brotherhood, but not full-fledged. I have a hard time remembering exactly how it played in those older games, but I know they tried it in Unity. They never really have done it. And I have always thought that this is a great game for co-op play, but one of the challenges would be you would really step on each other's toes. I remember a mission in Batman Arkham Knight where you and Robin are working together and you're sneaking through and you're using the different perches, and there were numerous times that me and my AI comrade kept getting in each other's way. And I honestly think that would be an issue with Assassin's Creed, but since the 2 protagonists play so incredibly differently, one of you would be more of the strong sort of brute, and then the other would be the sneaky assassin, sneaking around doing stealth, as well as just they fight completely and utterly differently. So I actually think this is probably the perfect game for them to finally decide to do it. So there is some good news coming out of the Assassin's Creed Shadows delay for those of us that were kind of disappointed. It was one of the games we were looking forward to. I've always wanted to see co-op return to Assassin's Creed, and I again think that this is probably the best one for that to take place. Now, Palworld has finally landed on PS5 in Japan. Not sure what the exact reasoning was for the late arrival. Not sure if this actually means anything with respect to the Nintendo lawsuit. But this is good news for fans. More people that were trying to play Palworld, especially those that were wanting to play in Japan, will be able to do that now. I'm actually hoping they are able to reach a license agreement with Nintendo. That is something that Nintendo won in the past. Nintendo either wins their cases or they get you to settle and agree to something. And so maybe Pocket Pair will just take the path of least resistance and agree to do that. They do now have more funding as another company came in and is helping fund a mobile version of this game. I think a lot of companies see the potential of this. Undeniably, Nintendo sees potential in it because they filed the patents like 6 months after the original trailer for this game came out. So I think they clearly saw this thing could be a huge, huge hit, and Nintendo's approach is to take out the competition, which is why I'm very much against these types of patents. I don't think they are generally good for gaming, gaming innovation, or the consumer. Now, the Starfield DLC reviews, we kind of already covered this week because they weren't looking all that promising. Initial reactions were not very good, but now they have hit Metacritic. It currently has a 54 on Metacritic. And now the user scores on Metacritic are not that reliable, okay, because people can review bomb, but the user scores largely match the critic scores this time of 5.8. And then if you doubt the Metacritic scores, that's totally fine because you cannot verify purchase on Metacritic. Just go to Steam where you can, and the score is worse. It has a 33% on Steam. So initially, it was higher than that with fewer reviews, and now that there's more, there's over 1,000 reviews, it has a 33%. And the interesting thing that is coming from this is that the negativity, the criticism, the complaint seems to be coming from actual big Bethesda fans, big fans of Starfield. One of those being Mr. Matty Plays himself. He's a huge Bethesda guy, and he has pretty much defended his take on this by saying, hey, I actually like Starfield. He gave Starfield, a decent score and a decent review. And he has since done a follow-up video because his review of Shattered Space was not good, and he was pretty scathing. And he was scathing as a Bethesda fan. He felt like they sort of fell short of actually answering some of the criticisms and the problems, and that it didn't really up the ante. It didn't even feel like a good Bethesdian DLC. And he kept referencing Far Harbor, which is considered one of the better DLCs that they've ever made for Fallout 4. I remember that one, and I liked it quite a bit. Now, the interesting thing was in his follow-up video, he pulled up a Bethesda interview in which he was very critical of what the guy was saying because they were essentially saying people want to live in these games for forever. And Matty was pushing back and saying that's not really why we always wanted to continue playing. It's that we wanted to be in these worlds. We wanted to keep playing, but we don't want to live in these games forever. I think that phrase was something he took a special issue with. And then something stood out to me. There was a statement made that stood out to me, and it was that Starfield is the hardest thing Bethesda has ever done. Now, when the person in this interview went on to say more, they said that they had to just jam it into an Xbox, the biggest, richest space simulation RPG anyone could imagine. Now, that phrasing is interesting to me because we have always speculated, I have always speculated and theorized, that one of the leading problems with Starfield is that they had to get this thing to run on a Series S, which is why Xbox sent engineers to Bethesda to help. If you go back to the original time that Phil Spencer said that, I think it all but confirms that that's why they went out there, because there's not particular challenges in getting games to run on an Xbox Series X or a PC, but there are challenges, notable, measurable challenges now from many developers with the Series S in particular. And for this person to say that Starfield's one of the hardest things they've ever done, and they had to take the biggest, richest space simulation RPG anyone could imagine and just to jam it into an Xbox, I just think that that speaks to the undercurrent of what we all suspected happened, and that was one of the reasons it was so challenging. So I think that interview has a little nugget of insight into what many of us have always felt was going on. That's what happened to development, and that's what's happened to that game. And sadly, I don't know if it'll ever really get to its 2.0 moment. I will do a little teeny bit of pushback on what Matty Plays was saying. I liked his video, I liked his take, but he kept saying that he was hoping this would be Phantom Liberty level, how Cyberpunk had its comeback. And I made this point earlier when I covered this. That took 3 years. Cyberpunk did not deliver Phantom Liberty 12 months later, so I want to give Bethesda a little bit of time if we are going to say that the scope of the changes that came with Phantom Liberty is something that we want to see in Starfield. You're going to have to give them more time, because CD Projekt Red took 3 years to get to that point. So I'm willing to wait and see if Bethesda can actually pull it off. Many people feel that the foundation of Starfield is just too bad and too bland and too boring and not good enough for that to ever happen. I've actually had people tell me that, like, oh, Cyberpunk was always good, it was just buggy. Completely disagree. They retooled entire systems, they rebuilt entire things, they added things in, and they let you bypass the opening when you play Phantom Liberty if you want. I think that is all but confirmation that my take on Cyberpunk has always been right on the money. The developers seemingly agree that they wanted to give people a way to avoid the opening of that game, as well as they completely overhauled entire systems in the game to make it feel better, flow better, and feel more impactful. So I actually think Cyberpunk was in a similar state where the foundation just did not feel good enough. Starfield's currently in that state, I think, but I'm going to give them the amount of time that it took for Cyberpunk, because when your game and your scope is that large, I think that's going to be something that takes some time. Another development that just came out is that the Star Wars Outlaws first title update has hit. According to Insider Gaming, those of us that really got frustrated by the stealth should have maybe a little bit better time. Here's the following quote. They tweaked the overall stealth experience by adjusting AI detection, the number of NPCs and their positioning, patrol pathing, camera detection, and highlighting environmental opportunities to reduce player friction. So here's the deal. That is everything that made the stealth in the game horrendous when I stopped playing. One of the worst missions, many people have agreed with me on this, is when you're in the Imperial base and it's forced stealth. And if you get seen, the alarm goes off and you fail. And the AI detection was annoying. The number of NPCs and their positioning was annoying. Patrol pathing, camera detection. It was all really annoying. You would do exactly what they needed you to do, but you would still sometimes get seen and like barely skate away. And it just did not seem set up very well. So it's good that they're addressing that as a primary problem. I don't know if the game is ever going to really reach the heights that many of us hoped it would reach. I still think it's a mile wide, inch deep sort of a situation. I think they just did too much. Too many systems, too many ideas. I think the scope creep largely diluted what could have been a great game, which is unfortunate, because I thought there was a lot about the game that looked very promising. Now, this week, we also covered Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox. Claims that was a confirmed thing coming, but then Yoshi P seems to indicate that's not been confirmed. It's something they hope to do, but it has not been set in motion. It has not been agreed to, as far as his phrasing seems to indicate. Also, Xbox sent out research sort of feelers. They want to know why companies are skipping Xbox. Then we found out that Hi-Fi Rush 2 is indeed still coming. It is in development. It's going to be slightly more open and not so linear. Death Stranding 2 had a lot more gameplay to show off. We covered that at the tail end of Tokyo Game Show. And then the PS5 Pro got a lot of praise from a No Man's Sky developer. So that's the week. Silent Hill 2 review scores. Assassin's Creed Shadows adding co-op. Palworld has finally landed on PS5 in Japan. Starfield DLC reviews are bad. Star Wars Outlaws is fixing stealth, maybe. And then everything I just gave you a recap on. So that's the week. Now it's time for the discussion. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. Get us our first 200 likes. We already have the first 100, so let's set our sights on 200. And thank you guys so much for being here. Sorry about the day off yesterday and the obvious late start today. I am running on about 4 hours of sleep. I got back at and into bed around 1 o'clock last night. I was in Atlanta for the YouTube event, and then I got up this morning at 5:30. So, welcome back, Paul Wright, for VIP. I already gave you credit for that in the morning coffee segment. And then Joker Quinn, Han shot first, and so did you. First gifted member of the day, 173. And then a VIP renewal from Dirge takes us to 174. Hey, Lona, you're dope and deserve dope stuff. 6 more months for 2 years. Thank you so much. And then a $2 super chat from Dino Brews. Do you think Starfield will go to PlayStation? All signs pointed it to going to PlayStation after they delivered Shattered Space. At this point in time, I would think they would want to wait a little bit longer. I don't think the current version, if they bring it to PlayStation, I don't know if it would do that well. This just in. Oh, Digital Foundry released a video of The Last of Us Part 2 PS5 Pro, the PSSR upgrades tested. Well, there you go. More information coming out about that device and what it's going to be doing to games. And you know, it's just continuing to make a pretty undeniable case that it's good. And a gifted member from DJB. You guys have got a ways to go, but you just hit the most recent milestone, every 25, and I owe 5. So I am going to gift 5 right now. If you guys manage to pull this off and you hit 500 today, if you go crazy and get a train going and the big boys show up, I got to play Doki Doki Literature Club tonight for the stream with my wife. If you don't hit the goal, we still will stream. But we won't play the game that's part of the incentive. So we always try to give a really fun incentive for the goal every week, and we appreciate everybody who supports the channel. If you upgrade your membership, it counts as 2. And when you renew your membership, if it's a plus or a VIP, we count it in the total. A $5 super chat from Dodgeman Gaming says, do you think if they could get FF16 to run on the Series S? I honestly talked about that the other day. And there it is. Agent of Chaos from Stone Spire. He bumps the line to 176. I don't think that they could. I just don't think that they could. It doesn't even run. FF16 doesn't even run that well on the PS5, the base PS5. I mean, in my personal opinion, I think they went too hard and too heavy on scope and graphics and all the things that they thought were really cool. I think they went too hard and heavy, and I think they're gonna struggle to strip all that down for the Series S. A $5 super chat from Joker Quinn. I'm seeing on Reddit that the Until Dawn remake is locked at 30. Yeah, I'm not seeing good things about the Until Dawn remake. So Silent Hill 2 remake's getting great praise. And a single gift that comes from Sneaky Wolf. He says, "Come on, boys. We can take a single train all the way to 500." Thank you so much, Sneaky Wolf. I appreciate it. And a 5 bomb comes in from Belphegor. He says, "We believe we can do it." And that is 182. Thank you so much, Belphegor. They could. It would be an absolute downgrade, worse than Watch Dogs, Switch and Bait. That's the other question. There's a bigger question than could they do it? Could FF16 run on the Series S? It's like the better question is, should you do that? And a 5 bomb from Sheriff Bruce Lee. We got a bit of a gifted member train happening right now. Thank you guys so much. Singles and 5 bombs are cracking off. If you guys get a gifted membership, make sure and say thank you to the people that are doing that. If you have a celebration, if you have a renewal celebration, do that. If you want to upgrade, do that. All of those things count towards the goal. Thank you to everybody who's been doing that. Thank you, Patrick Q, for gifting a member. Welcome on in, guys. It's the end of the week, so the segment is called Gaming News This Week. Make sure and smash that like button. Let's get 200 likes. And Spirits just renewed their VIP for 16 months, and that counts. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, the question is, should you even do that? You know what I mean? Should you take a game and just strip so much down and pull so much out that it's like, at that point, if it's going to look that bad, perform that bad, and you have to remove that much, what's the point? The fact that Until Dawn comes out in a week and no reviews is a bad sign. Yo, Dino Brews gifts a member. Takes us to 190. And then 191, Raven does one. Thank you so much, Raven. And then a member plus renewal from WJC, 10 months. He says, if Hogwarts Legacy can run on Switch, FX16 can run on a Series S. Different games entirely. Thank you for the renewal. But WGC, they're different games entirely. And listen. What they do in Hogwarts in the most intense environments is not even a fraction of what happens in FF16. Those icon fights are insane, dude. Like, they took the PS5. Here's how I'm going to say it, WGC. I'm going to actually interact with what you're saying, because it's actually a decent piece of pushback, okay? They took Final Fantasy 16 and they squeezed everything they could out of the PS5, okay? Hogwarts didn't do that. Hogwarts looked fine. It looked good. But it didn't squeeze every possible square inch of power out of the PS5 the way that FF16 did. Yeah, and I don't even know how great Hogwarts even looks on the Switch. I mean, Eugene seems to be indicating it doesn't even look that good. And that's not a game that is as graphically demanding, because you're not setting up the same size and scope of fights. OG DSB with a Member Plus renewal. Thank you so much. Bumps the line to 193. Until Dawn is out today? I thought Silent Hill 2 was today. Are they both coming out on the same day? Yes, but you can cut down, make it only 30 FPS, dial back graphics. I'm not saying it's the best way to play, but you could do it. Right, I'm asking a completely separate question. It's not a matter of if they could, it's a matter of if they should. Do you really want to do that with your property? Paul says Final Fantasy 16 baseline hardware was the PS5. Hogwarts was always coming to the Switch, not really the same thing. Yeah, that's the other thing, is they were always targeting putting Hogwarts on old gen in the Switch. It just took them a little bit longer. That's not how Final Fantasy 16 was developed. It was literally developed just for the PS5. Y'all seen the Digital Foundry video on The Last of Us? They got their hands on it and they say it's even more striking a difference than Rebirth. Really? The graphics are severely downgraded and the world isn't open. They cut the world into areas with tons of loading screens. Oh, Hogwarts on Switch, they actually had to make those changes. Yeah, I'm just... And again, back to what Paul said, I think Paul's input's helpful here. It's like they were trying to get Hogwarts on the Switch from the beginning. Until Dawn release date is October the 4th, unless they delay it at the last second. Wait, so both... Wait, do I have it backwards? Is Silent Hill 2 not today? Is it the one that's not yet? Or are they both out today? Isn't the embargo on Silent Hill dropping before the game comes out? So I must have it backwards. Until Dawn was the 8th, Silent Hill was the 4th? No, I think you have it backwards too, Corey. I think Silent Hill is next week. Silent Hill 2 remake... release date. Yeah, October the 8th. Yeah. Corey and I are doing the same thing. We're flipping the dates around by mistake. So Until Dawn is today. And it sounds like it's not doing very well. Until Dawn remake Steam. Right now it's only available for pre-purchase on Steam. It says coming soon. So Silent Hill is Tuesday. Yeah, is Until Dawn what? Is it at noon today? I don't understand. On Steam, it doesn't look like it's available yet. Okay, we've been officially rated by the information about Silent Hill's release date. We got it, boys. 37 hours? Oh, you're saying that's how long we have to wait? Locked at 30 FPS? I don't understand why you would remake a game like that and lock it at 30 FPS. That doesn't make any sense. We're talking about Until Dawn. Until Dawn. Even Kojima admits what? Been building games. Some people said that my controller was dirty, so I changed to this one. Many people have misunderstood, so let me add. This is not adjusting the difficulty level. It's the building stage. Adjustment. Brushing up and adding details to the feel of the controls, direction, graphics, background models, gameplay, camera, UI, exclamations, stereo, while playing the game many times. I'm not sure what Kojima's clarifying. Yuck, low FPS. What in the Until Dawn remake would have them in that scenario that they would have to cap it at 30? I'm not happy with how Sony is handling Until Dawn. If it's not ready, delay it. Movie is still far away. Why rush it? Why are you blaming Sony? I don't think... Are they in charge at all? Who's making it? I didn't think that was one of... Is that their studio? I thought we looked into this, and like... Is Sony even able to say anything? Locked at 30 on the base PS5. I bet the Pro gets the 60 mode. Another selling point for the Pro. No, I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to want to start letting games drop at locked 30 on base PS5 and then double on Pro. That's not... So the last thing PlayStation and Sony want to do is start to make it seem like the base PS5 is a second-class citizen. So it's not their studio, but they own the IP. So conceivably, they could step in and say, if it's not ready, don't launch it. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I guess the question would be, who's in charge of the release date? If they're the publisher, I think you're right then. If Sony's publishing, then they should be stepping in and saying, if it's not ready, don't release it. The optics on that aren't great. Yeah, I mean, especially if Silent Hill 2 is coming as an exclusive, or is Silent Hill 2 a time exclusive, and it's getting really, really great reviews. Digital Founder says, The Last of Us Part 2 on the PS5 Pro, we've had unfettered access to the whole game, a chance to put the PSSR upscaling technology through its paces. And a member plus from Tenor Dude, thank you so much, 194. You guys are going to have to really, really hustle. If you're going to try and hit the goal, you got to do it all today now. Put yourself up against the wall. Sony owns the IP, but Ballistic Moon's developing. Right, and if they own the IP and they're publishing, then if it's not ready, then they should delay it, because you're doing this right before Silent Hill 2. It's a one-year time console exclusive. Right, so you have a time exclusive coming next week that has great review scores, and you're going to let Until Dawn launch before and suck the wind out of the room. A 30 FPS remake? What'd you even remake it for? Yo, a VIP from Bin. 43 months. Tenor Dude with 37. Man, this is some big month renewals. We are a 5 bomb away from the next milestone of 200. Well, I'll owe you guys 5 more. Keep smashing that like button, guys. Unfettered access? Why are you putting that in quotations? Base PS5 fidelity mode looks better than the Pro's Pro mode in some of the Digital Foundry Last of Us 2 comparisons. What, like, you mean a freeze frame? Like when they were talking about... Because Ollie was talking about that in the hour-long video. How there is some image stability issues. But he thought it was overall worth it for the vast improvements that you were getting. Is that what you're referring to? Like if you look at image stability, PS5 fidelity is more stable than the Pro? The Digital Foundry Tlu video is 1337 in length. Sleet, dude. It's a freeze frame. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about that. If you're going to do a freeze frame in The Last of Us Part 2 and say, well, the fidelity mode on the PlayStation, the base PlayStation, if you look here, it looks better, more crisp, more detailed. None of that matters to me. When I see it in motion, it's like, that's what matters. You're going to let me turn up the fidelity. You're going to let me turn on all the fancy lighting. And I get to keep my 60 FPS. Like, that's what I want. Yo, Cat with the VIP. Welcome back, Cat. Takes us to 196. Figured out what's going on. Until Dawn is unlocked frame rate on the base PS5. It doesn't hold 60. Drops into the 40s. People are upset, saying the only way to play is with a stable frame rate. Oh, the only way to play is to play stable. So it's not locked, but they didn't do a great job. So you're better. It's so inconsistent. They're saying just lock it. Right. The Until Dawn PC requirements are rather low. Hey, it's not that demanding of a game. Ala Park with a VIP in 26 months. I'll use this today. Check for those milestones, chat. Help catch up with the missed day yesterday. Let's get it. Keep being dope, Lono. Thank you, Ala Park. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got to go to the Google YouTube office in Atlanta and be part of a YouTube event. Tour the building, you know. You were tweaking yesterday without your daily dose. Well, I appreciate that. Well, I don't appreciate that you were tweaking, but I appreciate that you like the content that way. Until Dawn is a slow-paced game. Well, yeah, and everything is very contained and very curated. This is the thing about AI upscaling, says Omar. It gets better over time as they train it more and more. So those minor issues right now will become very... so those minor issues might become... might be gone in a few months. Yo, Dark Taco upgraded to VIP. Upgrades counts as 2. We jumped to 199. Thank you, Dark Taco. Any and all upgrades count as 2. You're the best. Pretty cool. Sony is giving Digital Foundry all the pre-launch access, almost like Sony understands who the Pro is for. Well, and you notice they're giving it to an outlet that'll actually just kind of measure performance and report on it instead of doing what all these other morons have done. You know what I mean? When you visited YouTube headquarters, did anyone sing a copyright song to themselves and get kicked off the tour? No, it was just me for the tour. I was with my partner manager. It wasn't a group. The group event was later. Sparking Zero is number 4 on the top sellers on Steam. Telling you might be the first anime game nominated for Game of the Year. There hasn't been an anime game ever nominated for Game of the Year? It might be. Will it be the first fighting game ever nominated? Has there been a fighting game nominated before? I think Until Dawn is meant to be a movie cinematic experience, which makes it a 30 FPS based game, which, whether you agree with it or not, I mean, there's nothing to be agreed with. If they have it uncapped and it's not maintaining 60 to 40, what you're saying is not, I don't think, a good explanation. If you're going to try to give me the cinematic experience excuse, then why didn't they just cap the game at 30 to begin with? They're letting you run an uncapped mode that doesn't run consistently. I don't know. That doesn't sound like they went the cinematic... It's a creative decision route, that crap that we get shoveled in our face every time some dumb game comes out at 30. You know, it's creative. No, it's not. You patched in 60 later. Shut up. You're a liar. 24 FPS is cinematic. Yeah, I mean in the film industry. Congrats on the cool opportunity, Lono. Is there an ambassador program for YouTube? Is that something your partner manager is trying to get you into? There are events that can sort of center around a person. There's also workshops and thing where the entire time that I was there, I was interacting with other YouTubers. Every time they found out that I did live streaming on YouTube full time, they wanted advice. I spent a significant amount of the event giving advice to people. So I would love to be utilized by YouTube because I now have almost a decade of live streaming experience, 5 on Purple, 5 on YouTube. So that's, you know, I didn't even realize it. Like, I just kind of got back into my old stomping ground mentally of just trying to help people think about their channel, their content, their live streaming. Yeah, I think there's great opportunity there for that to happen, but we'll just have to wait and see because there's other things that I'm going to be involved with as well. According to Eurogamer, the unlocked frame rate spikes into the 40s at very specific times. The game is largely 60, but the frame rate drops are noticeable. Well, then maybe that can be patched later. Maybe that can be patched later. The base PS5 disc Slim Edition is €80 sale in Europe. Smash Brothers was nominated in 2019. It's the only fighting game to be nominated for Game of the Year. Well, there you go. And Smash Brothers is obviously in a unique position because of how popular it was, the all the recognizable IP and characters. That probably gave it significant broad appeal. I think what's really going to be a challenge for a Dragon Ball game is it's just like, is it going to have the broad appeal? With the way the voting works, if enough outlets don't even play it, because there's a lot of outlets that don't have somebody to play and review a fighting game. So they just won't. No, Street Fighter 6 did not get nominated, no. Smash is goated. Yeah, I mean, Smash, the proof was in the pudding, right? Like, it was highly praised, highly reviewed, very popular. It kind of makes sense that happened. Can they patch it using the Decima engine instead? It'd be amazing if they would license out that engine. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. More and more people tuning into the show right now. Welcome in. Gaming news this week. Were there any gaming news stories that struck you as kind of interesting or something you'd like to discuss? Let us know. You got to hit subscribe to talk in my chat, but subscribing is totally free. And take a quick second and hit the like button. Let's get 200 likes. We've only been live for 35 minutes, so it's good to see so many of you here. I did take the day off yesterday. I was in Atlanta. I'm a little tired. I got in really late last night, and I'm running on about 4 hours of sleep. Dragon Ball has a huge following worldwide. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying, like, broad appeal with the public, right? Or popularity in the public. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about broad appeal with the review outlets. There are tons of review outlets that, like, literally don't review fighting games because they don't have anybody there to do it. So that's going to hurt your potential review total. Now, not always, but this happens with sports games, with driving games, with fighting games. So, as an example, if you look at the sort of multi-plat releases, let's look at some of the larger multi-plat releases. So Street Fighter 6 got 99 critic reviews on Metacritic for the PlayStation, right? Astrobot has 134. Street Fighter 6 is a multi-plat game with less total reviews than a PS5 only game. Do you see? Oh, my shirt doesn't come from anywhere. No. Not right now. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. I don't want anybody confused. We're still waiting for the next round of of shirts and stuff from them. So I don't want anybody to get confused. This is not from Into the AM. So I'm going to delete the shirt command because that's not where it's from. So what I'm saying is that Astrobot is a single platform title with more reviews, 134, and then Street Fighter 6 on PlayStation only has 99. Now you got to count the other platforms, 21 from Xbox and then 33 from PC. So if you include all those, sure, but a lot of that's going to be overlap between certain outlets. You understand? So, like, I'm not saying a fighting game can't get nominated. I'm not saying that it shouldn't. I'm simply saying, from a mathematical perspective, that's always going to be the challenge, that, like, fighting games sometimes don't have as many outlets reviewing because they might not have somebody there to do it. It's like, who's our fighting game guy? Well, a lot of these places, a lot of these outlets have either shut down, laid people off, they've shrunk up their staff. They might not have anybody on staff to properly review a fighting game. Sneaky Wolf says, with a $5 super chat tip, says, Street Fighter 6 won fighting game of the year. That's normally what they're fighting for. Right. No pun intended. That's what they're fighting for. Right. Yes. So, Dragon Ball probably has the fighting game category locked up this year. And if the Dragon Ball game gets a nom, I mean, the Silent Hill 2 remake could get a nom. I said that in the show open. It's got such a high score. It's got an 88 on OpenCritic. That typically means it's close to the Game of the Year discussion. And I know that would probably annoy people because people weren't happy about a remake being up there last year. But the huge jump in Resident Evil, I think, justified it. Tekken came out this year. Which one? What's it called? Was Tekken 8? I don't follow fighting games. Tekken 8. That's good pushback. Tekken has a 90 on Metacritic. So, wow. What a year, man. That's great. Fighting game guys, man, y'all are eating good. That because the Dragon Ball game is probably going to land pretty high as well. Tekken is fire, and I stink at fighting games. Digital Foundry also captured the Burning Village, and it looks amazing, worth looking at. Oh, like the Burning Village at the end? I wouldn't sleep on Silent Hill 2, Stealing a Nom. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it ends up there. We know that the review outlets and the jury process, they like to give props to good remakes, you know, and Silent Hill 2's 2 points shy of 90. I mean, that's really, really close to where a lot of the Game of the Year noms are hanging out. This is probably the best Tekken since Tekken 3. One of the best years for fighting games you can remember. Was there another fighting game, or is it just the Tekken and the Dragon Ball primarily? How much do you think the new Mario and Luigi game can be a factor in the Game of the Year convo? It's Mario. Based on the gameplay that I've seen from the Mario and Luigi game, I just don't think you're going to have the broad appeal. I said that about the Zelda game, and I got pushback. People were like, oh, because it's not PlayStation? No, because I have eyeballs and a brain. Like, it's easy to look at the Zelda game, and what did I say? I said it'll land in the mid to low 80s, and it did. Right? Like, that's not even shade on that game. I just have eyeballs and a brain. I looked at The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I said it's going to land in... Oh, it's actually still holding 86. I thought it had dropped. That's a great score, but I was like, I don't think it's going to be high enough. I was like, it'll be in the mid to high 80s, and 86. It landed right where I said it was going to land. And if you think that game, there were people that were like, oh, The Legend of Zelda is coming for Astrobot. No. Basic math would say no. More people are going to vote for Astrobot based on the score of the two games. And none of that's hate. If that gets twisted and reframed as hate or bashing, you know, that's just dishonest. I've never once indicated that I think that Zelda game is going to be bad or not good. I was excited about it. I've praised it just from the fact that they're giving us a game with Zelda, and I know my daughter wants to play it. But I looked at it and said, it's not going to have the same universal broad appeal. It will likely land in the mid to high 80s. And the Mario game will probably... The Mario game will probably land in a similar place. It probably will, because of the gameplay. What's it called? Mario Luigi Brothership. Let's get to the gameplay. I love the art style, though. I do. Like, this looks great, okay? It does. But it's this right here. I can look at this, and I'm here to tell you, this won't have the same broad appeal. It won't. I think this game's going to get a great score. This game probably lands between an 88 and a 90. Now, that could put it in Game of the Year contention just because it's Nintendo and if it lands that high. But I just wonder... I wonder if... Whenever you do a turn-based game like this, is it going to lack that broad appeal? Are there going to be a bunch of people that are just like, yeah, I'm not really down with turn-based games, and that naturally lowers the score? Is that fair? No. But that's what I'm saying. I could see this landing in the mid to high 80s. I could. But I think if you're looking in the realm of like, what Astrobot's hitting and why it hit so strong... I don't think Mario and Luigi Brothership is going to land in the same place. Like there are enough people out there that don't vibe as much with the turn-based elements. Right here, perfect example. Super Mario RPG Remake, 84 on Metacritic. Mid to high 80s. It's right there in the middle of the 80s. Why? I'm here to tell you. I just don't think you see that level of praise for certain games. It's not because they're bad. It's simply because they're just not having that broad reach. There's just enough people who are like, yeah, I don't really like the turn-based. They'll play it and they'll enjoy it. Yo, Vic's Vapor, it sat on $199 for the longest time. That was remarkable. I now owe you guys 5 members. 2019 release scored an 83. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Here, I owe you guys 5 members. I'm going to do it now before I forget. Okay. Went to check in Throne and Liberty, and it got way more players than I thought it would. Looks like their servers have been crashing too, by the way those peaks and valleys look. Or maybe some kind of maintenance. Yo, MTO jumps back in with Member Plus. That's the Agent of Chaos. 201. I definitely think Mario and Luigi could steal a nomination, but from a critical standpoint, FF7 Rebirth and Astrobot are the front runners. Well, and then the Metaphor game could still land a nom as well. Silent Hill 2 could land a nom as well. But yeah, I just think that the Mario and Luigi brothership and the Zelda game, I just think they're going to land in a similar hemisphere, mid-80s. And that's not bad. Like that always gets twisted. You know. That always gets twisted. It's like, that's not bad. It's just, in order to get a Game of the Year nomination, you have to be well above that curve of, and 88 could do it for Silent Hill. The minute you drop below, I think the minute you drop below 87, I think it gets harder because there's just so many games in the 88 to 94 or whatever. I think the Elden Ring DLC is a little higher, isn't it? Did Metaphor get reviews today? I don't know. No. It's releasing on the 11th. So I would anticipate the review embargo for Metaphor being next week, like the 9th or the 10th probably. A week in advance would be a little. I think PlayStation's embargoes are usually a week in advance. I think that was how like God of War Ragnarok worked. Maybe. Could we get 2 more likes on the video? Holy cow, almost 600 people here, guys. Thanks for the 200 likes. Take a quick second, smash the like button. Make sure you don't have a membership renewal to celebrate. You guys are probably going to miss the goal unless you guys go crazy or some big boys show up today. We will still stream tonight. We just won't do the Doki Doki Literature Club. That's your incentive, is that if you can hit that 500, that's what I'll do. And I'll do... Yeah, I could do 50s all along the way instead of 20 bombs. I usually do a 20 bomb every 100 because that's what I owe you. But if you guys go 300, 400, 500, you guys go that crazy. I could drop 50 bombs the whole way. I don't know, though. I don't know. Doing that all in one day is tough. We haven't had days like that in a while. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Ghost of Tsushima was nominated at 83, even though that score was a joke. I still don't understand that score to this day. The Ghost of Tsushima score, I still don't get it. Because if you look at the director's cut score, if you look at the general sentiment around the game, yeah, like a low 80 score for that game has always bewildered me. I'm like, wait, what? Like, why did it get that score? And then seemingly it got a ton of nominations, enough to get up there from all the outlets. Like, what? I don't get that. The 83 on that game has always confused me. I'm like, I don't care because it got the nomination. I think it's got the notoriety. Everybody kind of knows the quality of the game is far above like an 83. You know, not that an 83 is bad, but I feel like Tsushima is at a level of excellence that it should be easily touching a 90. You'd have to go back and look at them to understand. I know Lono saw more of The Office in the city, so my only question is if you found the chicken bones. No, I didn't really see the city. My guess is the open world repetitiveness hurt scores. PlayStation tax? No, I don't buy into PlayStation tax. I mean, there are outlets that are going to allow their bias to affect their score, but I don't believe there's a PlayStation tax. There's not an Xbox tax either. The only tax Xbox has ever paid is self-inflicted. So everybody always says bad things about them. Well, tell them to stop doing bad stuff, you know? There was really, really bad Polygon article calling it Imperial Japanese propaganda, and that is revered the samurai, when in reality the game skewered the samurai invective. Death Stranding was nominated as Game of the Year at 82. I wonder, are scores just getting higher? Oh, he was just joking. PlayStation tax was a complete joke, by the way. Are scores just getting higher? Like, are outlets being a little bit more inclined to give games, 9.5s, and maybe in the past they just weren't? I wonder if the cluster of Game of the Year scores has gradually moved up, and in the past, if you were in like the 80s, you would be considered. Maybe they've changed the voting process. I don't know. The fact that both Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima have 82 and 83 is a dadgum crime. That's a crime that those games have. Those are not low scores, but those scores feel low for those particular games. VGC equals 60. Sucker Punch's Kurosawa homage and atmosphere and sharp combat, but it's weighed down by the genre's more perfunctory tropes. Ubisoft stock prices rise near 30% amid buyout reports. Death Stranding was a love-or-hate game. Stray was nominated for Game of the Year in 2022, and that game got an 83. Well, I think with Stray, it was more than the score. Stray took the world by storm. Like, it was this beloved title. I think that was almost like an honorary nomination. Like, everybody knew that game's not gonna win, but what they built and how they built it and how the gaming world just embraced that game. Yeah, I think it was like an honorary nomination. It's like, listen, we know you're not legitimately in contention for Game of the Year, but we're going to give you the nomination to kind of honor, what you pulled off. There have been plenty of cat games. So, there have been plenty of cat games. That game just struck a chord with the public, and they were like, you know what? Give it a nomination. Yeah, if you're not going to use it, I'll take it. I got excited when I figured out where you were yesterday, says Sven. I was like, I wonder if he's talking to any of the teams I work with. No, I was mainly talking to my partner manager, and then there was a event for content creators, but I will be potentially getting included in calls and feedback sessions with teams that work on stuff over there. Imagine if it had won a cat meowing for 9 minutes instead of Christopher Judge. Most games are at least good. They don't really make bad games anymore. Other than shovelware and mobile stuff. I don't know if I agree with that, even in the remotest sense. I think general quality I think the general quality of what we call good games has gone up. I do. And we're like, oh, that's a good game. I think the quality's gone up. Size and scope of these games has gone up. And so it's like, yeah, you're getting quite a bit more. However, I think there's been plenty of bad games that launch and aren't ready or are just not thoughtful or, you know, whatever negative descriptor you want to use. Yeah, I think there's been plenty of bad games. I have a cat. I'll try it one day. Yeah, if you like cats, definitely. 20 months from Kelswitz in a VIP. 20 months of watching you call things before they happen. Still waiting for the part where you become a fake gamer pony shill or whatever they call you nowadays. Thank you so much, Kelswitz, for the VIP renewal. Guys, thanks so much for being here. We're about an hour into the broadcast. I need your energy, man. I'm like low energy. I am tired. I was gone yesterday. Got back last night. I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep. So let's get the light count up to 300. The member goal is not necessarily within reach unless you guys go insane. But at the very least, we can make a go at it. I will say this, though. On Friday nights, when we do play the games or don't play the games, I just think the vibe on Fridays has been really fun. So thank you, everybody who's been tuning in for those. Whether we end up playing the game or the, you know, whatever it is, Doki Doki this week or like community game nights. So how long is the flight? Like 54-minute flight. It's like a direct flight, Louisville to Atlanta. 54-minute flight. It's just like, phew. Bad games back in the day meant that they were almost unplayable. A bad game nowadays just means it's not as good as some other game that already exists. I mean, I think you're obviously creating and establishing how you view things. I don't think what you're saying is objectively correct. I think it's just sort of your opinion on it. I definitely think there are plenty of bad games, and they're not just bad because, well, they're not as good as some other game. It's like, no, there are just some really bad games that come out. You know, that just don't. They don't have the quality. They don't have the thoughtfulness. They come out too early. There's plenty of games, I think, that fall into that category. Now, there are very few, like, atrocious games like the King Kong game or the Gollum game or, you know, things of that nature where it's just like, why? How did you guys even make this? How did this even happen? Like, I think you might be correct in saying there aren't a lot of those, but like, I don't know if I would necessarily say, oh yeah, it has to be, you know, a bad game is just usually not quite as good as other games. Like Redfall was a bad game. It is. I don't care how many times, you know, these revisionist history guys put really, really dumb slow walk clips on Twitter. Like, there's nothing compelling about that. It's a bad game. You know, it didn't get unwanted hate or bandwagon hate. It was a pile of crap. You know, anybody saying otherwise is a liar. It's like you're just lying. Like the Metacritic score, the user score, that's a bad game. You know, I don't get the revisionist history that people are attempting with Redfall. I really don't. There's nothing redeemable there, like at all. You know, I think that we do. I think we get games in that category fairly regularly. And some of them aren't super large and well known. So I also think that's the problem. It's like, you know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That was a bad game. Concord didn't like have bad quality, but it was a bad game. Nobody wanted it. You know, yeah, the day before wasn't a bad game. It was a non-existent game. It was a non-existent game. My opinion here, 2020 was one of the best years in gaming from an overall standpoint in a very long time. You enjoyed everything in 2020? Redfall was so bad, Microsoft had to pay people for positive press. New Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League Season Pass is trash. Yeah, Skull and Bones is pretty bad. Skull and Bones is quadruple A. Yeah, come on, guys. Show some respect. Skull and Bones is quadruple A. Show some respect for that game. Saints Row Remake, Gotham Knights, Outlaws. Yeah, Gotham Knights, Saints Row. Yeah. Outlaws is a tough one because there are people that are, enjoying it for what it is. Redfall was so bad, Phil Spencer had to come out and apologize. Well, I mean, he apologized for the 30 FPS, but which is that is really interesting if you think about it in like the grand history of everything with Xbox. It's like this dude apologized for Redfall at 30. Is he going to do the same thing for Avowed at 30? Like when do you apologize for 30 FPS and when do you not? Like what's the rule? Skull and Bones is active and has players. Can't say that for Suicide Squad and Concord. Well, Concord shut down, so I don't think we can necessarily compare there. I mean, is there a way to pull good numbers on Skull and Bones? Steam Charts says that in the last 24 hours, their peak was 341. Obviously, I think a lot of people play that through the... Do a lot of people play that through the, not through Steam though? That's the only way to enjoy Outlaws for what it is. You can ignore stealth and just make sure you keep an eye on the enemies trying to hit the alarm or call reinforcements. Rule was, before they decided to hold the line, no matter what Xbox does. I'm not sure what you're responding to, Butters. Will you be covering the Space Marine 2 big updates in the future? Asks Philip. Well, here's the beauty of our new format that you guys really supported strongly this week. And I think we're going to continue that we will start doing uploads again next week. We took a break from uploads this week, and then obviously with Tokyo Game Show and the State of Play and everything, we've not done uploads. We've taken a bit of a break from uploads, and that was not planned. That was just kind of how things played out. But the with the current ability for us to do gaming news today, and then at the end of the week, gaming news this week, it's really easy for me to include stuff like that. Like just this morning, I included the fact that Star Wars Outlaws got its first title update and largely addressed a lot of the AI issues and stealth issues. I would never have made a video or talk show about that. That's a nothing burger. I don't care about, the first title update for Star Wars Outlaws. I'm obviously interested because it sounds like they're addressing one of the main frustrations I had with that Imperial base mission that made me quit the game. I was like, this is so bad. So yes, we should be able to, if we're able to continue with this, structure and approach, we will be able to cover a whole lot more. So I'll be able to have a show open where I make mention of, if Space Marine 2 does some big update or patch or, piece of content or something. I come from the days when EGM would regularly hand out 2s and 3s. Maybe those kind of games just don't get reviewed nowadays. Yeah, do they just get ignored because they're just like, they're just not good? The first Imperial base mission was rough. It was. Star Wars Outlaws in the green room. No. I have no desire to go back to that game. Like, even though they've fixed stealth, I'm just like, no. Performance, still pretty caca. It just doesn't look very good to begin with on PlayStation 5. I know on like a really, really strong PC, you can turn a lot of stuff up and make it a very beautiful game, but no. Space Marine 2 was shorter than Shattered Space. Think shot died on you? I can see what you're saying. Space Marine 2 was shorter than Shattered Space. Let's see what the time to complete is on Space Marine 2. Time to complete Space Marine 2 is about 9.5 hours. There are people saying closer to 12 hours depending on how you play. So we could just say 9 to 12. Shattered Space is coming in roughly 8 hours. So, no, for me it was. I mean, depending on how you played, sure. Shattered Space is, according to this is saying roughly 8 hours. People in chat, somebody in chat saying 5 hours. Yo, a 10 spot from Dark Taco. Super chat. Can't lie, love the new format. The fact that I can just stroll in and shoot about upcoming games I'm excited for, and I don't feel like I'm disturbing the show is nice. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It feels really good to be at a place where we feel like we can do that. A $10 super chat from JW. My main issue with Space Marine is not a single review mentioned the lack of content post-campaign. Everyone loves it, even though its endgame is similar to Anthem's endgame, which was ridiculed. Did anybody buy Space Marine 2 hoping for long-term ongoing endgame like what Anthem was supposed to have? Air Drymeyer says, Sony's plan is working. My 4-year-old just finished Astrobot. Now he wants to play the Axe Sky game. There you go. Several sources are quoting anywhere from 5 to 12 hours for Shattered Space. I call them roughly on par. Yo, my man Murph with VIP, 37 months. Maddie plays Rip Shattered Space apart. Indeed, he did. Thank you so much. I'm going to bump the line here to 203. Yeah, he did. He did a follow-up video about Starfield as well that I talked about a little bit here. It's good to hear you're in a good place content-wise, Lono. Not that you weren't before. Your content now, I feel, is everlasting regarding the gaming world. May you continue to grow. Man, that's very kind, Philip. Thank you. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? We've said this before, but you guys believed in something that we tried 3 years ago. We moved the show to this channel, and at the time, we had 5,000 subscribers. So we're now barreling towards 50K subscribers, which is exciting. We're working on a member goal, so those of you that, you know, have considered doing it or tried to do it, I did provide that feedback to YouTube that upgrading memberships is like an absolute pain in the rear end, but we are trying to get more people on Member Plus and above. We have a goal right now of 600 people to get on Member Plus and above, so if you're on a gifted or if you're still paying for the 5, we're currently at 559. So last week we kind of stalled out at 550. Now we're kind of stalling out at 560. I would say that's growth. Like we kind of hit it and then we kind of stop and then we hit it and we kind of stop. That's great. You know, keep it going. That's huge. That was something I told my partner manager. I was like, gifting is great. I was like, we have super generous people, but I was like, I need it to be really easy for somebody to decide that they want to upgrade. That needs to be really easy because right now it's not, and that's key to the future of what we want to do. Like, I can't rely on mega generous gifters. That's not a good strategy. Digital Dude with a $5 super chat tip. You hear the people that called Ghost Yote Woke are now saying it got delayed to 2026. So dumb. Listen. You guys are going to be shocked by this, but I'm going to say it. Dumb people say dumb stuff, and I've just gotten to the point where I'm just going to start telling them that they're dumb. I I'm not going to suffer fools anymore. I'm just not. You want to come in here and not you, the super chat. I'm not addressing you, but you're pointing to people saying this stuff. It's like, I'm not suffering fools anymore. They want to write their fan fiction. They want to make up their false claims. I mean, let them. You know what I mean? They're basically becoming like Amber Heard of the gaming world. Just a bunch of dumb liars. Like that's what they are. That's what they are. Just fan fiction writing buffoons that shouldn't even be paid attention to. Don't give them engagement. That's why they do it. It's their only currency. It's the only currency they have left. The only currency they have left is to lie and to make things up and to write fan fiction. Like, don't give them any engagement. Because the more you don't give them engagement, the more they're like, the more their currency devalues, right? We see countries where there, different things that happen where their currency gets devalued, right? The best way to devalue these people's currency is don't watch. You know what I mean? Don't watch. Just ignore them. Writing fan fiction. Let's get back to rude America. Just tell them off. It's funny how people are praising Space Marine for all the tacked on live service roadmap stuff they complain about in other games. But that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand. Somebody just compared Space Marine 2 to Anthem. Is that what people expected from Space Marine 2? For it to be that kind of an ongoing format. Like, I don't remember feeling that vibe. I remember being like, oh, they have ongoing content plans. That's cool. Customizable characters. That's cool. Fun co-op. That's cool. I don't think I ever thought like, oh, it's going to be like Anthem. Calling it fanfiction is an insult to fanfiction writers around the world. Not really, Murph, because it takes an awful lot of creativity to say things as stupid as these people are saying. The stuff they come up with, man. The stuff they come up with. Gamers. X game doesn't have enough content to last for weeks, months, years to play. Also gamers. I don't want live service games where they have a steady stream of content for a long time. I mean, yes, there is a split personality to the gaming world. I 100% agree with you. I literally saw channels going really, really hard and praising Helldivers 2, and then in the next breath, in the same week, they'd have videos on their channel acting like live service games are the devil. Live service games are the bane of gaming's existence. It's like, do you even know what Helldivers 2 is? It's a live service game. Like... It's like there certainly is some split personality nonsense going on sometimes. It's like, this game doesn't have enough content. I can't play this game for forever. And then a game comes out with a model for ongoing content. They're like, can you get this live service drip feed slop out of here? It's, oh. I expected Space Marine 2 to be something kind of like Helldivers, where I hop in with my friends and F around and kill bugs, and I got that. Right, and there might be a reason to come back and do it, periodically. I did not expect Anthem-level endgame or, structures to the content like that. I did not expect that at all. JW says, I guess I just didn't know about the endgame is my issue. All the YouTube reviews said they have over 100 plus hours in the game, and I'm wondering what they played for 100 hours. 6 missions, basic multiplayer. Well, the thing that I just looked up, Space Marine 2 time to complete, you're going to spend about 53 hours to go 100% completion. So it's possible that's what they're working on. I genuinely don't think that people know the words that they use. Sometimes it's just a buzzword that they can use to be angry at. Yeah, I call them internet dirty words. They're internet dirty words. It's like, well, this word has power right now, so I'm just going to use this word. It's like when people come into a stream or a video and they're like, this is clickbait. And it's like, it's clickbait? Like, huh? They don't know what clickbait means. ESSR is getting a nod from Digital Foundry. It's better than FSR 3 and catching up to DLSS. Careful, you sound a lot like the lukewarm Christians. Oh my gosh. It'd probably be a good idea to not take that route with me. The level of customization and progression that multiplayer operations in Space Marine has is dense. He doesn't know, let him find out. Nobody tell him. Wait, I want him to keep going. I need that material. Oh. Please educate me. I've not been properly educated on that. I think some people underestimate how popular of a franchise Warhammer is. Space Marine 2 lets you play as any Space Marine chapter. The 40K are eating it up. Yeah, it does. It seems like the Space Marine fans are very, very happy. So, you know, I think that's always good. I think that's good. I think there's good and bad fan service. There's good and bad fan service. So, Space Marine 2, as far as I can tell, is the best kind. You know what I mean? I don't even know what you just typed. Big dig rock. I don't even know what that is. I put 80 hours in a Space Marine. Just playing multiplayer. You're enjoying the multiplayer that much? That's awesome. Like, seriously, I get excited when fandom gets good fan service. Like, I get excited for those people. I do. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I'm so pumped for you. Because, like, I don't have any touchstones with Warhammer other than, like, it looked fun. You know? It looked really, really fun. I did the same thing with Uncharted 4 multiplayer. It was a great time. It's surprisingly well balanced. Huh. Henry Cavill loves Space Marine, so the world will love it. That's true. That's true. Space Marine 2 is bringing in a lot of new fans like me. Space Marine 2 actually got me into the lore and franchise and enjoyed a lot. See, I love to hear that. You know what I mean? Okay. I appreciate the information, Big Dig Rock. And I'm just gonna tell you that that's not what today's stream is about. So, thanks. Honest question, is Cyberpunk worth buying now with the DLC? Been on the fence after buying it and wanted to know your opinion on it since you'll be honest about it. Thanks, hope all is well. Bobcat's Reef. I false started with Cyberpunk 3 different times. And I loved Phantom Liberty and I couldn't put it down. They let you start with Phantom Liberty and I would encourage you to do that. I think the opening of Cyberpunk is still largely a flawed experience. From a pacing perspective, fans of Cyberpunk are split on this. Some agree with me, some disagree with me. I loved Phantom Liberty and couldn't put it down. Now, if that serves as a catalyst for you to go and enjoy the base game, great, because it's a huge game. So I can highly recommend it, and I recommend jumping in with Phantom Liberty. And then that can be a catalyst to go enjoy the base game, because it's big. So I disagree. I think the whole game's worth it. It's a slow start, but the rest of the game's worth exploring. I think I'm trying to give him I'm trying to create the most likely outcome of him enjoying it. I think the greatest catalyst to getting somebody into Cyberpunk, I think the fastest, like, if we're trying to grease the wheels, Phantom Liberty. Get him in. Right? I think the main story is great. I'm not saying the main story of Cyberpunk's not great. I'm saying the opening is badly paced. How come we're talking about Warhammer? We're just talking about whatever people bring up, homie. This is gaming news this week. You can bring up all kinds of stuff. Looks interesting. I really would love to get into the world and the story. Everybody's going to give you different advice, so I'm going to give you a series of questions to ask yourself, and then that will determine where you go. Do you enjoy a game world building through its tutorial and taking roughly 5 hours to get you into the base game? Is that something that you would enjoy? If that pacing feels too slow for you and too drawn out, then take my advice and start with Phantom Liberty. It gets in, it hits hot and heavy like an action film. Boom, you're in. If you're like, no, I would love for something to be very, very slow burn and very, very methodical and careful and meticulous and, slow. If that sounds dope to you to get into the larger world, then don't take my advice and play the game from the very beginning as if you just purchased it. So you have to kind of think about yourself as a gamer. Like, I don't want to be in a tutorial for 5 hours. It's only like 90 minutes of actual slow tutorial. If you want RPG story building, play the base. I feel like you get good RPG storytelling with Phantom Liberty. I'd rather have more of an action type of experience. There we have it, chat. He's going to go with my advice. Yeah, if you're looking for more of an action type experience, then start with start with Phantom Liberty. And if you have the experience I had, and you just love it, and you have a good time, that might be enough to get you to go deal with the slow open of the base game. So, I think that's probably how I'm going to start to address that question when it comes up. It's like, it really comes down to the player. And you saying, oh, I just want more of an action experience, then you do not want to start with the base game. You'll be bored. It takes super long to get going. I mean, super, super long. And for some people, that's great. They love that it takes a long time to get going. Like, that to them is like a plus. That's a good thing. So, guys, very quickly, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Let's try to get 300 likes on the video. Thank you so much for being here. We're only about halfway through the stream, so you are welcome to bring up anything you feel like bringing up. And something we like to do during gaming news this week, because it does encompass so many different things and topics, is start to utilize Q&A. So you can submit a question now as a member with the ! question command, and it'll pop up on the screen. Now's a great time to gift members. Become a member, celebrate your membership, or upgrade a member. All the things you can do with members, it's a great time to do it. It's the second half of the show, hits the more loyal viewers, and as well, it opens up Q&A to them. Lono is overstating it a bit. No, I'm not. No, don't listen, Reckless. Don't listen. Go in the other room. I'm not overstating it. It's the opening is slow. It's like, it's slow, bro. It's 5 hours long when if you're like Lono, you refuse to read the instructions and struggle with everything. Yeah. Just wait till you get to the brain hacking crap and try to tell me it's not slow, dude. It's not 5 hours? What do you mean? It's pretty long, bro. The beginning's abysmal. Yeah. There are people that love that game that are like, bro, Lono's right. The opening is like really, really drawn out. Like, obviously, maybe I'm being hyperbolic with the 5 hours, okay? But it's lengthy, dude. It's lengthy. You know, it was probably 5 hours because I kept stopping along the way to be like, what can I play? The driver tutorial introduced me to Rage. That's the other thing. There are elements of Cyberpunk's tutorial that you don't even need. It's like, why is this even here? You know? Like, ugh, it's bad. Do you even brain hack, bro? Yeah, it's just poorly paced. It really, really is. It's just poorly paced. I'm sorry. The first question, and this is a reason why you want to submit your questions. Liquid Smoke says, did you play Driver and did you get out of the opening tutorial? Talk about 5 hours in a tutorial. No, I've not played that game. I've not. Yeah. This is a relevant question to what we've been talking about. Ignorance Pleroma says, do you think CD Projekt will leverage the PS5 Pro for Cyberpunk? Yes. I think CD Projekt Red is probably a little tied up right now because they've kind of moved on from Cyberpunk, but I think that with how much they've used the ray tracing and the path tracing and making the game super pretty on PC, I could definitely see them leaning into the advanced ray tracing and the PSSR. But it wouldn't surprise me if they're just a little tied up right now, you know? Yeah, they started on The Witcher. So I would love it if they tasked the team to go back to Cyberpunk and do some PS5 Pro updates, you know, pull out a little patch, you know, and give it some of that ray tracing love. Because, I mean, it's a pretty game, dude. Cyberpunk is a very good looking game. It really is. So, is that the real Riddish? Yeah, Riddish, it looks like your membership has lapsed, so your question won't submit. Like, yeah, I was like, wait a minute, is that an imposter? You were just gifting the other day, weren't you? YouTube's being weird. Sometimes people have to manually renew. Like, some people are having to manually renew their memberships. I don't get why that happens. I think it happens like every 90 days or something. Not for everybody, though, but for some people it does. Butter says, have you been able to see the new Metro Awakening gameplay PlayStation put out yesterday? No, I have not. I was not able to see really anything that transpired yesterday. I was sort of completely indisposed. Like, I know you guys were like maybe kind of hoping I would do like some kind of a stream or something. I just couldn't. There was not an opportunity to while I was there. So Cyberpunk is the second best looking game I've seen, only behind Alan Wake 2, but it's close. Cyberpunk textures are a little lacking. You have to manually renew every 60 days, says Dirge. I wonder, is there some kind of regulation about that? That doesn't make any sense to me. I've never had to manually renew any of the things that I've ever subscribed to, so I don't know why YouTube would do that. Let's see here. Sheriff Bruce Lee, what would be the timeline to take a PlayStation game and create a Pro enhanced version? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, there's a lot of games that are going to be, you know, PS5 Pro enhanced when the thing drops. There's going to be a lot of games. But I don't know the timeline of how long it took them to do it. I feel like they've had the dev kits for a while if the leaks are to be believed. So, sounds like a regional issue. I mean, yeah, I wonder. Are there regions where that's something that gets enforced or something? Manually renewing is a good thing, so you don't forget you have a sub going and it keeps going for a year. Well, for sure. I'm saying no other company does that, so I don't think it's like a regulatory thing or a law, right? I don't think it's a law. I think that it's just maybe it's a ghost in the machine or something. I don't know. Bobcat's Reef with the question: would it be worth buying a used PS5 to get the Silent Hill 2 remake? Plus, I would love to try out that Silent Hill short game. Can't remember what it's called. I don't know if I would buy one just for that. There it is. Riddish jumps back in as a member plus and bumps the line to 204. 204. I don't know if you guys are going to pull out all the stops all of a sudden, but I'll remind you that Gauntlet, I was going to do 50 every 100. And Doki Doki Literature Club is the goal. So if you guys want to go crazy, I don't know if you guys are going to make a mad dash. It's okay if we don't. We will still stream tonight, okay? A couple of months at least, says Eugene, if you really want to integrate PSSR. What is your profile picture? Good Lord, what is that, Eugene? Hang on. I'm trying to go to your channel. Oh, it's the little puppet guy from Death Stranding. I was like, what is that? So yeah, back to the question here, Bobcat's Reef. I mean, would it be worth buying a used PS5 to get Silent Hill 2 remake? I don't know. I mean, would you play any other games on it? I mean, is this really the only thing that you're looking for? You know, I don't know, dude. That's a decent investment for one game. And then the Silent Hill short game, I'm not even sure what you're referring to. So I would think if you're going to buy a console, used or not, I think you would need more than one game as a reason to get it. I wonder how much tuning control devs have over PSSR. The needs of an action RPG are quite different from a racing game. I was disappointed with the Death Stranding 2 coverage. They didn't show anything. Yeah, I mean, they showed a new sequence and story elements, you know. The one you beat, Silent Hill, the short message that came out this year. I didn't beat that. That game was a bit of a mess at the end. Yeah, I bailed on that. I straight up bailed, dude. I liked it until like the very end, and I was like, yeah. Those chase sequences were just annoying. I never feel like when I'm in a game that's supposed to be kind of scary and you have these chase sequences where you can fail and it feels like a lot of like guessing or whatever. Like it just, I don't know. It ends up not feeling scary. It ends up feeling frustrating. Layers of Fear 2 was like that. There were entire sections where like you had to not get seen or not get caught or whatever, and it was like some of them were really easy to fail, and I was like, reminding me of Outlast. Yeah, I was getting into Outlast, and then I got to a section that was failable, like if the guy caught you, and it seemed like it was so easy for him to catch me, and I was like, yeah, this doesn't feel intense. This is annoying, you know. Failable chase sequences are hard to do. Yeah, it ends up feeling like I'm engaging with the mechanics of the game instead of going through something psychological. So Jamal for Prez says, how is Kill Knight? Was there actual meta progression upgrades or just different weapons and builds? There were different weapons to unlock for like achieving challenges and stuff. You do earn currency in the game that you then use to buy that stuff when you unlock it. You guys that were getting to watch me play Kill Knight in the green room, I ended up beating that second level. And to anybody playing Kill Knight, I enjoyed it significantly more once I turned the difficulty down, because turning the difficulty up is just for a higher score. So I felt like it flowed better when I lowered the difficulty. I will say that it gets insane. I mean, it gets insane. It's like, there's so much going on. I was playing it on my couch, and like, I got into a rhythm with that last one, dude. I was vibing with it. And then I saved my big sword attack for the last room. I thought the one room was the last room, and it wasn't. There was one more. So, you need the fear of running, but having to do it multiple times kills the mood. Yeah. You just feel like you're like, okay, left, okay, right, okay, wait, okay, left, okay, right. It's like, you double posted your question. That's okay. Ignorance says, I'm on the fence on AC Shadows since Ghost of Yote announcement. How do you feel about purchasing it? I mean, I have been wanting to play Assassin's Creed Shadows for a long time. They released new gameplay of No Way. I thought her combat looked really good. I still think Yasuke's combat looks good. I think they need to turn the hip-hop off. That was stupid. And I think the fact that they're going to introduce co-op could lead to a lot of fun for Madam and I. I've consistently said, what have I said, guys? I want one of these open world action games, action adventure games, to be co-op. Immortals Phoenix Rising, Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Spider-Man, this game. It's like, dude, I would love to see what that would, could I get into a fun flow state and play a game like that with my wife or not? Well, we'll find out. So, I don't see it as going up against Ghosts of Yote. I see them as very different things. It has been officially confirmed that Xbox Game Studios titles will support the PS5 Pro. The first game confirmed is Diablo 4, its upcoming Vessel of Hatred expansion. Well, there we go. That answers that question. Co-op after the fact, or was originally planned? I think it was originally planned, given how different they are, Paul. Like, I've always thought the issue with Assassin's Creed co-op is you would just get in each other's way. I want to take that route. I want to grab that building. There was a mission. I talked about this a little bit in the show open. There was a mission in Batman Arkham Knight where you were working with Robin and you were trying to use perches and walls, and we would get awkwardly in each other's way multiple times. Now, thankfully, it's an AI companion who just immediately gets out of your way, and he just immediately defers to anything you're trying to do. You're not going to get that with another player. You're both going to swing for the same perch and, like, smack into each other and fall or something. And, with Assassin's Creed, similar instances, right, of like, well, you're both trying to take the same stealth route, or you're both trying to do the same thing. Well, that's not the case, because like Yasuke and No Way are not going to play the same at all. Their fighting styles are different. Their approach options are different. Like, Yasuke's not going to be like crawling under buildings and climbing up on buildings and like perching like this giant Batman samurai. Like, that's just not, they're going to play very, very different. So I think that, yes, there's going to be, they were probably planning some level of co-op from the beginning. And with the delay, they have time to implement it. And I think they probably said, hey, implement that so that when it comes out, it's not just, hey, we delayed this game and removed some of the stuff that we got like egregiously historically wrong, but we also added co-op. Like, they get to kind of increase the game's value instead of just making people feel irritated that they had to wait. Lancelot says, for Ghosts of Yote, what new would you like to see added? Weapons, armor, companions? My biggest thing for Yote, and I've answered this question before. I'm happy to answer it again. You might not have been here, but I'm going to say the same thing. I really just need new weapons and stances, because then that means she's going to play totally different than Jin Sakai, and that's all I need. I really do think the people that are getting hung up on Jin Sakai not being the main character, I don't think they realize how difficult that would have been. I think it would have been really, really difficult. This former samurai, now ghost, that uses his sword in these 4 different stances to take on different types of enemies, what do you do with that? You got to how do you reset his skill tree? How do you reset his knowledge? Right? 4 new stances. Oh, now suddenly Jin would use 2 swords, and now suddenly he would forget all those stances that he did before, and he would forget all the equipment he used before, and he would forget all of the skills that he acquired before. There's some interesting leaks surfacing about Yote. You mean lies from a grifting, dishonest person? You mean that? The thing has already been debunked? Or are you referring to something else? Question here from British, similar question. What should Ghost of Yote bring and not bring from Ghost of Tsushima? I think you bring the base. You bring the base of multiple stances, multiple options of attack, multiple options of stealth, and that's pretty much it. Everything needs to be different after that. Shinsuke would be 300. Well, they would argue that they should have just done another game with him. Who debunked him? Plenty of people have said that's not true. It isn't true. Reforge should watch it. The concept and perspective of the trailer was so good. What are you guys talking about? You have to watch the first Berserker Viper trailer. It really sets the brooding tone. This one looks very promising. Yeah, ever since I've seen that first trailer for first Berserker, I think the art style and gameplay looks sick. I think it looks sick. You look into it? Yeah, the guy's claims are bogus. Did you see the picture of the woman on the dev team that was floating around from like 2018? No, what was that, Eugene? Banshee says, Lono, I'm considering getting a PS Portal, but I'm on the fence. What do you think of yours, and would you recommend purchasing? I have it on good authority. They'll be adding cloud at some point. I think at that point, it's an easier recommendation because, like, that's a great value. If you can go anywhere with decent Wi-Fi, that's great. If you are able to use it at home on your home network and it regularly meets a pain point, I think it's an easy purchase at $200. If you're more commonly going to use it when you're out and about, I would be a little more hesitant because you're very much dependent on the internet speed of wherever you go. Now, they did make it to where if you go to like a hotel and you have to interact with the web browser, they have enabled that now. So you're basically able to take it anywhere with Wi-Fi, but you once again are dependent on the speeds. It's the same guy who claimed Yasuke was going to get replaced. Yeah. Yeah, that's none of what that guy says is true. He just makes stuff up. He literally just makes stuff up. I have zero respect for liars. I don't have any respect for liars. Anybody who makes content or money off of lying, I have no respect for. I don't. It's that is they are the scum and villainy of YouTube. And it's like I think I can't wait for community notes to start leading to demonetized videos. It'll be amazing because you'll see channels like that just absolutely implode. They'll absolutely implode. It's like, yeah, this video is just a lie. No, this is unverified. So they'll have to phrase everything different. You know, I think titles and thumbnails should start to get community noted. You know, title and thumbnail seems to indicate this is happening. It's not. I love my Portal. I use mine in Arizona with my PS5 in Michigan. No issues whatsoever. Use it at work when I have time to game and in the house when not in the same room. Great purchase for me. Yeah, for $200, it can solve a lot of problems. You just have to know that you are speed dependent when you're out and about. When you're at home, I don't have a single issue because if you're on the same network, it's like super, super responsive. A bunch of those dudes were circulating a photo of like 20 women at Sucker Punch claiming they ruined the sequel with a woman protagonist, and the photo they used was from 2018 prior to the first game. It's the same story every time. Like I said, dumb people say dumb things. Yeah. Look at all these women who ruined the game. Yeah, they worked on the original. Genius. I've been voting in the Golden Joystick Awards. FF7 Rebirth got 5 nominations. Astrobot got 4. Team Asobi has been nominated for Studio of the Year. Stop making me want to buy a Portal. When they add cloud gaming to the Portal, it's going to be an absolute steal for $200. It's going to be an absolute steal. He switched all of his content to rage baiting videos. Listen to me. There are so many people getting into the gold rush of the rage bait content. All their thumbnails look the same. All their takes are the same. They are basically going to cause a collapse of that type of content, and I hope it happens sooner than later. It's bad for the platform. It's bad for the users. It is not good for YouTube. It isn't. It's drivel. It is drivel. It's bad content. It's bad for the platform because advertisers don't like it. It always turns toxic. That can cause issues with advertisers wanting to be on the platform. It can cause breach of trust from users, so users don't feel like they can find any good content or click on content that's trustworthy. It's not good for the platform. Claimed that the ending of Yote was going to anger fans. Yeah, I'm sure he knows the ending, as he's completely fabricated other things up to this point. So, they're all doing it. So many people are switching to rage bait grift content. They're all doing it. It's a gold rush. And gold rushes always lead to ghost towns. Always. There's only so many topics and people and thumbnails and perspectives that can flood YouTube. It's the same thing, dude. It's everybody's chasing the fast buck. You know, you see it on other platforms in different forms, you know. You see it on other platforms in different forms. The gold rush of, well, let's all do this. Well, let's all do that. Well, let's all do this. And they go and they just shuffle from the next content trend to the next content trend to the next content trend. They're just doing a gold rush. It's like, well, this is the fastest way to make money right now, and they go for it. Gold rushes always lead to ghost towns. They do, because it's not sustainable. It isn't. He didn't claim to know the ending. He just took a guess at how it could be. Who knows? Okay, let's reread what you originally said, Crowded House, and let's work on phrasing then, because this is on you. You said, and I quote, he claimed the ending was going to anger fans. Okay? Now you say, he didn't claim to know the ending. Okay? Work on your phrasing, brother, because that you completely made it sound like he had claimed he knew the ending. Like, those sentences are mutually exclusive. He claimed the ending is going to make people angry. Oh, he didn't claim to know the ending. What? Those statements contradict each other, my friend. You're not wrong. I see rage bait videos. I totally ignore them now. Let me show you guys a little tip. If you like YouTube and you want your YouTube feed to be better, okay? I'm actually going to do this right now. So here's my YouTube homepage. There's 30. There's Alana. I like Alana. I like 30. Here's Digital Foundry. I like these 3 creators. Thank you, YouTube. I'm interested in these videos. Okay. Let's scroll down. All right. Now, I'm not interested in this. It's a music video. It's called One Take, John Wayne, I Want to Be a Cowboy. Nothing. I don't know why this is on my page. Okay. So I'm going to click these 3 dots and I'm going to say not interested or don't recommend channel. I'm going to go with don't recommend channel because I know I'm never going to come to YouTube and consume that content. Okay. So You can do not recommend this channel, or you can say not interested. Not Ace Ventura in Middle Earth. Yeah, I've never watched that one. I don't know what that. Probably because I've been watching like content about Rings of Power. The lead actress for Yote is not a good look. Take the afternoon and go look at Mark Hamill's Twitter feed. Just take the afternoon and see what old Marky Mark's been up to for the past, I don't know, year or more. Would you be really upset and concerned? Would any of these guys be really upset and concerned if there was a new Batman game and they were going to have Mark Hamill voice the Joker? Would there be thumbnails with Mark Hamill's face that say, "Concern, this is trouble, this is bad"? Would they do that? I bet you they wouldn't. I bet you they wouldn't. There's no consistency here. I don't care. I don't care what actors and actresses think. I don't. I've seen plenty of movies lately from directors and actors and actresses that I think are bursting at the seams full of crap. They're full of it. They don't know what they're talking about. They wax eloquent and self-righteous and virtue signal on things, and I think they are full of crap, and I think they make great movies. Some of these people are bursting at the seams with hubris and self-righteousness. And a lot of them are idiots. But, buddy, they can act. And they can direct a really good movie. Like, I don't care what the heck they think. We talked about this the other day. That's not what I go to the movies for. That's not what I boot up a video game for. You know? Lono hitting the not interesting button on Jam Wayne is heart-crushing. Oh, I'm sure he's fine. I don't use YouTube for music. I just use Spotify for that. I like to keep my funnels separate. I don't want to start getting music videos on YouTube. What if Rocksteady dropped a new Batman game with Catwoman as the lead character? You mean what if they dropped a Catwoman game? Have you seen Catwoman? You think people would complain about that? You see how she was portrayed in the Batman games? You actually get to play as her in one of the games. Woke, playing as a woman. No, people loved it. If they made a Catwoman game and she was portrayed in the same way and it had the Stellar Blade vibe of like, the dumpy is right there in the center of the shot, super skin tight outfit, you think people would complain? They'd be like, yo, give me that. Come on, dude. Don't give them a good idea, because then you won't get a Batman game. You'll get a Catwoman game. Especially after the success of Stellar Blade. They'd be like, wait a minute, we can make some money here, dude. Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor. I don't agree with anything that comes out of his mouth. Yeah, Leo is a great example. I don't agree with some of the stuff that Leo's said over the years. Leo is phenomenal. And a gifted member from Angry Pete takes us to 205. We're a 20 bomb away from the next milestone. We are a long ways off from the goal, boys. Every 100, though, I'm going to drop a 50 bomb. If you guys can hit 300, I'll do it. 400, I'll do it again. We could have a crazy day if you guys turn the afterburners on. Yeah, the various Catwoman outfits could be easy DLC. I'd pay money for a good Rocksteady Catwoman game. That's what I'm saying. We looked at that image this morning that was in that one video where they're like, yo, they're replacing all the characters with women. And it's like, one of them was Ratchet. Last I checked, Ratchet's not a human. And she didn't replace him. It was two protagonists. You could play as both. Dizzying display of a false equivalency. The other one was Joel in The Last of Us. And it's like, oh, wow. Last of Us Part 2 was Game of the Year and has an amazing user score on the PlayStation Store. Okay, next. Uncharted. Nathan Drake was not replaced by those women. That was a spin-off game that was highly reviewed and beloved. What's next? What's next? Do you see? It's like they put up a little image and they try to create a false idea and a false notion. It's like, oh yeah, your PlayStation just got this habit of you're replacing replacing the men with women. Really? Ratchet's a man? And he wasn't replaced. Nathan Drake wasn't replaced. Listen, I told you, it's just like the photoshopped pictures of Aloy. It's lies, it's fan fiction, fed to people that are just hungry to be lied to, because they want their viewpoint affirmed. They don't think, there's no critical thinking involved. It's just, yeah, look at what happened. Yeah, the picture of the Ghost of Tsushima team, and they make it look like, oh, it's a bunch of dude bros having beers. They worked on the first game. And then Ghost of Yote, it's a bunch of girls. And it's like, the picture of the girls is from the first game. Like, the picture of the women is literally from 2018. Oh, and they deleted their original post. So what's your opinion now that you'll learn that the photo from the right is from 2018? And she posts the original tweet. You see what I'm saying? It's brain dead caveman energy. It's not masculine, it's not tough. There's nothing manly about it. It's a bunch of boys being emotional. It's the antithesis of masculine. It's a lack of self-control, a lack of wisdom, a lack of discernment. I have no respect for these alleged men. I said alleged. Like, I have no respect. I have no respect for them. You lack critical thinking. You lack discernment. You lack wisdom. You lack self-control. You're embarrassing. You are an embarrassing display of what men should be. You're the opposite. Imagine if the men who raised you and influenced you, right? Your dads, uncles, grandparents, professors, sports coaches. Imagine the men that instilled values in you. Imagine if they acted like these buffoons do on Twitter and YouTube. Imagine what that would have done to you. Like, the people that you looked up to and thought were brave and strong and courageous and smart and wise and intelligent, those men did not act like this. These people are embarrassing. Just embarrassing. Zero critical thought. Zero ability to do any analysis. No discernment. To discern is to divide and to tell and to split things in two and know what is good and what is not. And these people lack that. It's just ugh pattern recognition is all it is. It's like ugh pattern recognition. It's like, well, this one thing made me mad, ugh, so this looks like it, therefore mad. It's that simple. There's nothing manly about it. Like the fact that the woman portraying Abby in The Last of Us has literally been attacked. They had to have like extra security, you know, for her because of how stupid and mindless these people are. Bungie's being sued for stealing the Red War story. They have a really bad habit of just like stealing from their fan base too. You know? They have a really bad habit of stealing from their fan base. There's been numerous times where like they just blatantly steal fan art and just use it. It's like, what? You know, attack an actor? Oh, like they immediately went after the girl playing Atsu in Ghost of Yote. Like they immediately went after her. It's like, have you done this for anybody else? Like any other actor that you, like these movies that you think are so awesome and so manly and so tough? Like, have you ever listened to any of the nonsense that over the years that Tom Cruise has said? And everybody loved Maverick, and it's been hailed as like, you know, a man's movie. It's like, that guy's he's a little loopy. I like him. I think he's great. He does good movies. But he's a little crazy. You know? Yeah, there were people that called the we can't hold Mark Hamill accountable for his bad takes. I mean, he's portrayed a clown for most of his career. Stop it. Yo, welcome back. Michael with the VIP bumps the line to 206. And it's in chat twice. YouTube's having a conniption. I'm reading some of the claims, Lono, and it sounds incredibly far-fetched. Yes, of course it's far-fetched. Yeah, Butters, your question got through. It got through. Solid Crusader with a $20 super chat tip says, yo, what's good? How's life? I can't believe we're almost 1 month away from the PS5 Pro launch. Speaking of which, the Digital Foundry posted a video on the PSSR usage in TLU 2 and concluded that PSSR is better than FSR 3. Past tweets, the very same thing they get so upset about, all of a sudden it's fine. Yes, I think that's what really frustrates me about it is there is so much of an antagonism and hatred and loathing for cancel culture, which is, hey, you said these things in the past, and it's like, okay, and you're doing the same thing. Yeah, I'm not saying Tom Cruise has been wrong about everything he said, Crowded House. I'm just saying Tom Cruise doesn't have like a great track record of not having some pretty crazy views. You know what I mean? Newsflash, artists tend to be liberal. There's a good portion of them who are LGBT, and this isn't new or some profound thing. Right. They just didn't have social media, so you didn't know that like a lot of the movies that you watched growing up and a lot of the actors and directors and writers of the shows that you liked growing up, yeah, they were all very much a lot of like, go watch Star Trek The Next Generation. You know what I'm saying? This show's woke. Next question. Jamal says, oh wait, no, you asked this. I already answered this. Sorry, about Kill Knight. Yeah, Kill Knight's really good. I would caution people about getting it though, and you've really got to be into the speed and the overwhelming nature of the game. Like, I feel like a lot of people are going to get it because they like twin stick shooters. Kill Knight is not for the faint of heart. It is not. No, it's not. I'm punching air buying a Pro. It looks like Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred has received very good reviews. Metacritic 86, OpenCritic 85. That's very encouraging. That's very encouraging. Butters, with what I consider to be the failure of Shattered Space, do you think Xbox will still take the time to bring Starfield to PlayStation, or do they skip it because of the added cost of porting? I don't know how much added cost, given that they were already working on Starfield for PlayStation, and that work was halted. So I'm not sure what the added cost will be to basically then bring the PS5 version completely up to date. I will say this. I wouldn't be surprised if the timeline has been pushed back or altered. I can't see right now, if you suddenly announced a Starfield Complete Edition to come to PlayStation in the current state of the game, I think that would go over like a lead balloon. I don't think that would go anywhere. We were all thinking, you know, that when the initial when the initial things hit about, oh, they're going to bring Starfield over after the DLC launches, a lot of us thought that, oh, they're going to do that with the DLC included. It'll be like a 2.0 moment for the game, you know, and it'll be this big turning point, and then they'll get all of the Bethesdian fans, all of the Bethesda fans on PlayStation to buy the game, right? I don't see that happening right now. I don't think that the opinion of the game and the DLC, I mean, Maddie was pretty scathing, right? And he's got reach. The dude's got reach and influence on you know, Bethesda fans. So, you know, he makes a video where he's pretty scathing about Shattered Space. You know, dude's got 500,000 subscribers, okay? His channel is sizable. And he's got a video talking about Shattered Space with over 100,000 views. He's got another one about the sad truth about Starfield. It's already touching 100,000 views, and it's not even 24 hours old yet. So, in my mind, like, this right here, you don't want this out in the ether if you're trying to bring your Bethesda game to where your largest, you know, potentially your largest Bethesda audience is on PlayStation. You can't have this out there, you know, on the game. Now, I did push back a little bit on Maddie Plays video because he kept referencing Phantom Liberty, and it took 3 years. It took 3 years for Phantom Liberty to land, and they did a lot of work in between. And I think expecting Shattered Space to be Phantom Liberty, I think that is way too much. This is why when I made my video a couple of weeks ago, and I said that Shattered Space could be a 1.0 moment, as in get the game to just a better foundation to build upon. I wasn't ready to say, oh, it's going to be a 2.0 moment, because 2.0 moment implies, yeah, you've turned things around. Well, that clearly hasn't happened. Clearly has not happened. So, at this point, bringing Starfield to PlayStation with the complete edition would be commercially terrible, because basically it wouldn't sell well. People are like, we don't want that game. That game's not in a great spot. All the reviews about it are bad. Its score on Steam, bad. Score on Xbox, bad. You can parade your padded Metacritic around all you want. Everywhere else you turn, where the actual users, the gamers, are saying, no, it's bad. Now, what are you going to do when your DLC Metacritic is bad? Now the Xbox guys have a Schrodinger's cat situation where, do you want to parade around Starfield's Metacritic or not? Because you have a Metacritic that you parade around as if like, oh, Starfield's always been good. These people just hate it in review bombs. Well, then what are you going to say to the Metacritic that has a terrible score for Shattered Space? Like, you can't have that stink around your game and like bring it to another platform. So Starfield coming to PlayStation is likely a ways away, I would think. They're going to wait for the Phantom Liberty moment. If they're even still going to do it. They might not even do it now. Do you eventually just say this is a lost cause? We've got Elder Scrolls 6 to work on. We've got other fish to fry. You want to keep piddling around with Starfield? I wonder if a lot of people were right and I was wrong in that the foundational problems with the game are too far reaching. It's like, yeah, there's just they can't switch the way, they can't switch those things. You can't improve those things. A lot of people have disagreed with me. I've consistently said that Starfield can have a Cyberpunk moment. Cyberpunk can turn things. Starfield can have that Cyberpunk 2.0 moment. I've consistently said that, and tons of people have disagreed with me. They're like, nope, the foundation is too cracked and poisoned. And I said, I thought the same thing about Cyberpunk. I'm hoping that we can see a similar turning point here. But at what point do you say, what are we doing? We shipped the game, at this point, we shipped the game a year ago to not great results. And now our DLC a year later is getting eviscerated. Now suddenly you don't have like this sense of like press. It's actually pretty interesting, isn't it? That the minute they don't send out early copies of the content so that the embargo can be leveraged for relevancy, and now people actually have to buy it on their own, play it on their own dime, play it on their own time. Now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, this sucks. Isn't that an interesting coinky dink? That like the minute it's not a relevancy driver where you get early access and you want to keep in good with the company that sent you the early access, the minute that relationship is gone, all of a sudden we get bad scores. Seems extremely coincidental to me. Like that's my question to people. How much better is the base game of Starfield than Shattered Space? Seriously. Like, ask the question. The people that gave, like, just go to Starfield, okay? Just go to Starfield on Steam and then go to the Shattered Space score. Starfield on Steam has a 59%. That's a bad score. And then the DLC has an even lower score. Then go to the Starfield Metacritic and ask the question, why does the base game of Starfield have an 83 and then a bunch of these outlets gave the DLC a failing grade? How seriously, how much different is Shattered Space in the base game of Starfield? What? Maddie outlined that in Shattered Space review. Much of Maddie's review I like because he went at it with, hey, you guys were supposed to deliver this content at the level of Bethesda DLC, and this was meant to be your answer to all the criticisms. Wouldn't that mean that the base game of Starfield's not that great if the DLC was meant to be an answer to the criticisms and was meant to improve things? Wouldn't that mean that the original scores of the base game shouldn't be very good? Why did it sound like this? I'm not sure what you're saying. Oh, Discord does that now. The way Bethesda works, I don't expect them to work on the game past next year. They also don't change fundamental basics like Cyberpunk when they changed entire systems. To follow up, did they waste more time on more DLC? Averages 4 per game, I believe. Yo, Hyde says, check out Kyborg Arena demo. It's fun, rogue, fighting guys in arena, dodge, parry combos, special attacks, and cyborg upgrades. Good progression inside the arenas. Full game seems even deeper. Yo, Hyde, thank you for 8 months in a VIP. I thought the initial response to the Kyborg demo wasn't good. Did they fix issues? Kyborg demo, PlayStation Store. Yeah, it has a 3.5. That's like a 70%. That's not a very good score. PlayStation users are usually pretty... I don't know. If your score drops out of the 80s on PlayStation, I'm usually kind of worried. Does Xbox push Bethesda to change engines with Elder Scrolls 6? I have no idea, Riddish. I don't know. Thank you for the $2 super chat. My guess is they expected the DLC to be like Far Harbor, and instead it was basically a long 5-hour side quest. Dogfighting, shipbuilding, base building. Shattered Space is like a 5 to 6 hour story expansion, 15 hour with all the quests. The performance is abysmal in Shattered Space, and I usually don't mind that. I don't get what they did that drove performance down. What did they do that drove performance down? It stutters like crazy. Frame drop at 30. I don't know. Yeah, Maddie mentioned the performance issues too, and I'm like, I don't understand what they did. Like, they got the base game running fairly well with the one performance update on Xbox. I don't understand what they did to suddenly hurt that. Performance is not abysmal. Game runs fine at 60. No, Yana did. Everybody is saying that performance for Shattered Space is bad. The performance of Starfield on Xbox Series X is significantly better than it used to be. Everybody has kind of said, hey, performance patch is pretty good. I even liked it. I was like, hey, wow, the main city is still, not great. But once I got on a planet, it was solid 60. It performed really, really well. People are saying the Shattered Space DLC specifically is having performance issues. That's why I'm wondering, like, what on earth did they do to cause that? Because they got base performance in the game on console, Series X especially, to a good place. I just don't understand what they did that would have caused that. Thought it was a Series S issue, but Maddie says it happened on the X too. Well, you don't want to know my theory. You typing that just put a theory in my mind. Do you remember back when the Digital Foundry analysis of Starfield came out? Do you remember what I theorized? That's what I'm saying. I played Shattered Space. Maddie's a huge fan, and he said performance was really bad, and other people are reporting the same. It sounds to me like you're not seeing it, but other people are. That to me tells me that it's happening, and maybe you're just more tolerant or something. I don't know. I've watched 8 different streamers play. Not one had performance issues either. I always trust people that say they're having performance issues over the people who anecdotally are like, I haven't, and I haven't seen any. I don't think Maddie and other people are making stuff up. I think there are performance issues, and you're either not seeing it or you're watching people that aren't in the bothersome areas. I don't know. Here's my theory. Back when the Starfield Digital Foundry analysis came out, and there were like almost no differences between the Series S and the X, what did I say? I said, you're basically playing the Series S version on the X because that's the system they have to build for. So it stands to reason Shattered Space was built for the Series S, same as the base game. And when you're playing on the X, you're playing that. You're playing that version. Definitely not abysmal. Okay, I mean, if you're taking issue with the use of the word abysmal, that's fine. Many people are reporting, fairly consistent performance issues in Shattered Space, to the point that it was mentioned in multiple reviews and tweets that I've seen. We have to keep in mind that Maddie was okay with 30, so if he's saying it's bad, it must be pretty bad. That's my theory. You want my theory on why Shattered Space isn't very good? Because the entire game is hamstrung. The entire game is hamstrung by the Series S. That's why that guy said that in that interview. He says this is, let me pull it up. He says this is like what, the most challenging thing? Starfield is the hardest thing Bethesda has ever done. And then he says, to elaborate, he says, to just jam into an Xbox the biggest, richest space simulation RPG anyone could imagine. Why would he say that? I'm telling you, any advancement, any innovation, any creativity, they are hamstrung. You can't say that? Can't say what? You got one of the guys that worked on the game attributing the fact that this is one of the most challenging things we've ever done, and his reasoning, we took this insanely massive, crazy, expansive RPG and we jammed it into an Xbox. Does Far Harbor work on the Series S? That is not even remotely comparable. If you think Fallout 4 and Far Harbor are equivalents to everything they tried to do in Starfield, they're not the same games, bro. I honestly don't think Starfield would have been any different if Microsoft hadn't bought them. I think Todd is just done. He's out of touch. If Starfield would have been a better... Oh, in my opinion, Dave thinks it would have been better. I don't think we're ever going to know what the game would have been like if they would not have had to have wrangled with the Series S. I honestly don't know. It's bad because the content's bad. You're not engaging with what I said. If they have to limit the scope of the project, the scope of the innovation, the scope of the features, enemies, quests, NPCs, combat, all of that has to go through the garden hose of the Series S. Seriously, track with me, D-Tom. If you think that the Series S is not playing a pivotal role in the absolute lack of cadence from first party and quality from first party, if you think the Series S isn't a factor, homie, I got a bridge to sell you. It 100% has played a role in Forza Motorsport, Starfield, Redfall. Write it down. We will get a retrospective on this one day, and it's going to be one of the biggest causes for all these issues. Every single developer, every single creative decision, every single idea of them saying, just how far can we push the scope? Just how far can we push this game? They all have to squeeze it through a garden hose. It's like, that's going to limit what you can do. It's going to limit how much innovation you can push. It's like, well, you're making us build a game for basically an old gen system. What are we doing here? It has less usable memory than the Xbox One X. And you expect a game like Starfield to innovate and add things? What are we even talking about? To me, it's crystal clear. It's been this way since the beginning of this gen. Their games come out late, they come out bad, and they come out at 30 FPS. Who do you think the culprit is? Who? Redfall, Starfield, Forza Motorsport wasn't 30, but it wasn't ready. They had to rip things out of that game. Avowed is coming late and at 30 FPS. Shattered Space just released, doesn't seem to do anything innovative, seems incredibly limited. There's such a... I'm unable to not see the pattern. It's like this pattern is all orbiting around the same thing. It's the Series S. Baldur's Gate can't get split screen to work. Games are coming to Xbox late. Games are skipping Xbox. And first party titles keep coming late, in bad shape, or at 30 FPS. Goodness gracious. That's the thing doing it. If it's not the Series S, then what on earth could be the cause of all of these things? They're all orbiting around the same thing. Games coming late, games can't get features to work, games ripping features, first-party games absolutely throwing in the towel on features. We're just not going to do that now. or coming out and missing features, coming out late, coming out at 30 FPS. You're saying Shattered Space is bad because of performance, but Maddie's whole point was questing sucked, decisions you make. No. D-Tom, you are so egregiously misunderstanding my point. I didn't say Shattered Space was bad because of performance. I said it wouldn't surprise me if the reason that this DLC is not expansive, is not innovative, there aren't new systems, new ideas, there's a lack of creativity, it's because of the S. None of that's performance-based, brother. I'm not arguing performance. I think performance is a glimpse into my theory. You're playing a Series S version of Shattered Space, and because they had to build Shattered Space for the Series S, it touched all those things. It did. The questing, the exploration, all of those things are penned in and hemmed in by the Series S. That's the point. I think you fixated on performance, D-Tom. The performance issues were just a catalyst to me saying you're likely just playing a Series S version of the game, which is basically why I think the entire DLC was hamstrung by the albatross that is the Series S. Can't see it. I can't see it any other way. Every single one of the major problems with Xbox, and all roads lead back to Series S every time. They'd have to be innovative with Shattered Space. They had to make the quests in the world like Far Harbor. That's what was promised. Okay, so Far Harbor, good. Shattered Space, bad. One's got more what? What are the words you would use to describe the differences between Far Harbor and Shattered Space? One has more depth. One has more content. One has more... You're going to keep using the word more, I bet. More. What do you think would be the central cause of a DLC not having more, but having less? Perhaps the very thing that continues to make games come to Xbox with less. Games keep coming to Xbox or from their first-party studios with less. And it's the Series S every time. So if you get a DLC for a tentpole title, Xbox's biggest title that they pushed at, Black Ops 6 isn't here yet. That's their biggest title. And you keep getting things with less, and then they push out a DLC with less. I'm just connecting the dots. It's like, what else could it be? A game isn't better just because it has more stuff? Nobody said that. You're shadowboxing. Nobody said more stuff equals better. I said more depth, more variety. Those are typically seen as good things in your game, and less is typically seen as negative. Less depth, less variety, right? Like, quantity can actually lead to less. There's a ton of things quantitatively to do in Star Wars Outlaws. And what it does is it gives you less depth. It gives you the combat, no depth. Stealth, no depth. Space combat, no depth. So you have this illusion of more, and you end up getting less. No. I'm not talking about literally just more. I'm just saying the vocabulary that you would invoke would be those words. And for me, the consistent theme of games coming from Xbox first-party studios is less. Forza Motorsport comes with less tracks, less features, things just ripped out. Halo Infinite, less. Redfall, less. Starfield, less. It's the Series S. It has been, and it always will be until they cut that thing loose. It is just a gigantic mistake. It's the hole in the bottom of the boat. So the Shattered Space story and side quests not having enough depth is because of the Series S and not about development by Baldur's Gate. It's always 15 different things, D-Tom. I'm just saying the Series S is an enormous contributing factor. take a really, really gifted builder and limit what they can do, limit the scope, limit the parameters, limit what they're able to do when they build, and you're not going to get their potential. You're not going to get what they're really able to do. Are we talking about performance? Maybe it's super clear to me and I'm not making it clear to you guys. I've said this a handful of times. The performance issues are a catalyst to my theory. It's like they made a Series S version of Shattered Space. That's why you're having performance issues on your Series X when you don't have those performance issues in the base game. This is why when Starfield first came out, Digital Foundry did an assessment and it was like the games were not even really distinguishable between each other, whether you played on S or X. So my theory, based on the performance issues and based on the impact of the Series S, is that it completely penned them in. And it was like, you can't do any of that fun stuff that you want to do. And think about what happens when there's memory constraints. What does the developer have to do? They have to cut features. So who knows what they could have done? Who knows what they could have done with Shattered Space? It could have been earth-shattering. They could have introduced new mechanics, new enemies, new ideas, and none of that's possible. None of that's possible because you don't have enough memory. It's like AI systems, enemy systems, the way all those things, function and fire. A lot of those systems are dependent upon memory. Yeah, Mike on a mic, just to answer your question off the fly, what would make them think that the Series S is a good idea? I honestly think their engineers were literally in La La Land. They were in La La Land. Like, they thought that this thing was really going to be able to do what those videos promised, and it didn't. So the Silent Hill 2 review roundup became a Starfield talk? No. Can you read, Belphegor? I mean, I'm being harsh with you, but can you read? Gaming news this week. Silent Hill 2 reviews, AC Shadows, Starfield, and more. Like, is that difficult to understand that we're covering all those things? Like, don't do that thing. What are we on Twitter all of a sudden? This is not a Silent Hill 2 review roundup. The title of the stream literally has Starfield in it. That was one of the talking points. That was in the show open, Belphegor. Was that the reviews are bad for Shattered Space. They're bad. Look at the Metacritic. It's bad. That's part of the topic today. That's the beauty of this format. You can come in and bring up anything. And people were talking about Starfield's performance, and a theory exploded in my brain. And I was like, they don't make games only for the X. Xbox games must have feature parity between X and S. Sorry, misunderstood. That's my bad. I mean, in your defense, we have shifted structure with our content, but homie, look at the title of the stream. Like, Starfield's literally in the title. Come on, brother. Like, I'm being gruff with you because that just sounds like Twitter, Yo, he boots up, talk about this, he ends up bashing Xbox. And it's like, that's not what's going on here. Check my last few. All right, hang on, Chris. You're not giving Bethesda enough faith for how incompetent they could be. The Series S is 10% of why Starfield was bad. I said a moment ago, it's always like 15 different things. So maybe I'm making it sound like it's all the Series S. It's all the Series S. Homie, it's the first cause. It's the first cause. If you go to developers and you say, from moment one, you have to limit what you can do. from moment one, that has a ripple effect that affects everything they do from that point. I think from the very beginning of the acquisition of ZeniMax, I think from the very beginning, the Series S walked in the room and said the word no like 85 times. Well, we were going to do this. Can we just? No. We were going to have this as no. We were going to do this. No. Series S just walked in the room and was like, no, 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 no. I can't do any of those things. Like, I can't see it any other way. Bethesda's talking and entertaining exclusivity of Starfield to PlayStation. Do you think they were concerned about the Series S? No, I don't think so. I think they were going to do a PlayStation PC launch, something to that effect. And I think the Series S walked in the room and was like, you can't do any of that stuff. Continue to ask the question, why did Phil Spencer say that Microsoft and Xbox sent a bunch of Xbox engineers to Bethesda to help them get the game ready to come to their... I don't even know how he phrased it. What was the way he phrased it? Bethesda, Xbox flooded with engineers. It was some amalgamation of that. They flooded the studio, I can't remember the way he phrased it. I wish I could find it. I wish I could remember it off the top of my head. It was in the Kind of Funny interview. He literally says something that, like, it's just obvious to me. It's like, you sent them there because of the Series S. Why would you... picture with it. What's the impetus? You buy Bethesda, and the first thing you do is flood the studio to help them with Starfield. What? I can't help with Starfield. I want to find the quote so bad. It's the way he phrases it. To me, it's just so obvious. It's like, it was the kind of... I think it was the Kind of Funny podcast, I think. I can't remember where he said it, but my gut is that he said it on the Kind of Funny podcast. And it was like, he said something to the effect of, like, we flooded them to help with getting their game to run on our technology or something. Or it was like they weren't familiar with bringing... I can't remember how I phrased it. It was after Redfall failed. No, it wasn't after Redfall failed. He was drawing a comparison. It was like, we didn't do a good job with the team that worked on Redfall. And he said, with Starfield, we've done a better job. From like moment one, they flooded the studio. Like, he was basically telling a history story of like, yeah, we did this with Starfield. We didn't do that with Redfall. Phil Spencer... Redfall, better job with Starfield. It was something like that. Yeah, here it is. Here. Come on. Give me the quote. We didn't do a good job early on engaging Arcane Austin to help them understand what it meant to be a part of Xbox and part of first party, and use some of our internal resources to help them move along that journey faster. We left them to work on the game. Where is it? It's not here. Xbox Studios, Matt Studios, NMX. Engage earlier with different studios. There's a difference when it comes to creative. Okay, according to Spencer, Xbox did a better job with Starfield because the game was earlier on in production when Bethesda joined Microsoft. Redfall was further along. But no, where's the full quote? Because he talked about how they flooded the studio. This isn't all the quotes. I want the full quote. I swear he used the word flooded. I swear that was the word. Yo, Real Sticky, thank you so much for re-upping your member plus, taking us to 208. No, it wasn't that one. That was about how like every single QA person was there helping. It was Phil Spencer, and it was when he said we did a better job with Starfield. Phil Spencer, better job with Starfield. I want the full quote because he talked about he uses a phrase. It's such an important phrase. I can't find any of it because he's done so much since then. Wasn't that Pete Hines? I wish I could find the quote because the way he phrases it, it's like you can tell there was this almost like impetus of panic. It's like you had to flood their studio with help. Like, why? Maybe it's Phil Spencer, Starfield, flooded. No. My question about this theory and the Series S is that Starfield would have been in development for 5 years before Microsoft bought them. I don't know how much the Series S affected stuff besides the loading screens and such. I'm pretty sure the game was supposed to be released that year, and they were acquired in 2021. Yeah, isn't it interesting, Lone Wolf, that Phil Spencer in the interview that I just read and quoted, he said they did a better job with Starfield because it was earlier in production? Now, why would he say that? Why? That makes no sense. What would make it make sense, Lone Wolf? Track with me. What would make it make sense? Why would Phil's view of the game be, well, we were able to get involved and it was earlier in production? That would make sense if they had basically, if it was basically like they were almost like starting over. It was like, well, we were going over here. I mean, we were going to bring it to you, but we weren't even sure if we could get certain things to work. It was also mentioned by Howard that top Xbox engineers are currently helping with development of Starfield on both the Series X and the Series S. No. It's from the kind of fun... I appreciate you trying to find it, High on Life. It's from the Kind of Funny interview. I swear it's that interview. I could be wrong. Phil Spencer used a phrase about like... It was when he said they did a better job with Starfield. He says something to the effect of like... And maybe it's not that interview. There's somewhere where he talks about, he uses phrasing like, we flooded them with help and then he says something about to help them with getting their game to, this is not what he says, but the essence of it is to help them get their game to run on our hardware. It's like he says something like that. We've got to go to writer's room. I'm telling you, it's going to drive me crazy until we find it. He basically makes it clear that when they bought them, there was suddenly this impetus of like, we need to help them with Starfield. And you have to ask the question, why? What would the impetus have been? I believe it was the Series S. Yeah, it was the Redfall discussion because he contrasts it against Redfall. He's like, we didn't do a good job with Redfall. We did a better job with Starfield. And he goes on to elaborate like what they did. He was talking about the issues of Redfall and how they weren't present with Starfield. Right. Like they had done more QA, they had more debugging, all of that. And it's like that. Yeah, that's the interview. It's somewhere in that video. You guys can find it, and we can get the exact quote in Writer's Room. We got to go to Writer's Room. I don't want this stream to be any longer than it is. So we didn't hit the goal. We didn't hit any of the hundreds today. So tonight will just be a chill stream, hanging out with Madam. That's probably good because tomorrow's the last 8:30 soccer game of the season. So I'm going to spam a link in chat, and we're going to get out of here. If you're not a member, you can become a member. We'll also be doing Green Room later today. Green Room is a great opportunity for you guys to chill with me. I just play games and have fun. It supports me more directly, and it gets you into the paying member pool, and it frees up space in the pool of people that cannot afford a membership, and then those gifteds go to them. Okay? So use the link in chat. Thanks so much for being a member. You may have gotten a gifted this week, or maybe you started picking up your own membership. Keep in mind, we're still going for 600 people at Member Plus and above. We're at 560. So we kind of sold out in the 540s, 550s, now 560. So it slowly is inching towards that 600. We'll do a giveaway. I've got an extra Astrobot controller. We'll do a fun IRL stream. Oh, you have a timestamp is when you start talking about Redfall? Okay, we'll check it out in Writer's Room. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring people over. And let me change that thumbnail so it no longer says live. And we do not need to stare at the goal anymore.